Time.
Let's talk about some changes the NFL made this year. The kickoff. Okay, remember the new dynamic hybrid kickoff. New kickoff rule stats are coming out now in the season. 57% increase in returns. Average starting field position improved by several yards. The more touchdowns, more returns past the 40-yard line, and a lower injury rate. Overall, positive sign. And if you look at the championship games, it felt like every kickoff was returned.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. Butker has a massive leg. He's able to put the ball out if he wants to. Jake Elliott as well. It should be warm weather. Obviously, perfect climate down there in New Orleans. So maybe it'll just be touchback, touchback, touchback. But in the championship games, when weather wasn't perfect, everybody was kind of forced to return, made the game much more exciting. I enjoyed that it ended up working out because we had a lot of questions going into the season, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is exactly what they wanted, right? They say it's a lower injury rate, and we have 57% increase in returns. I mean, I guess as the season goes, we've seen more and more returned, right? Early on, we were seeing a bunch of touchbacks. Is that just due to weather?
I think it's weather, and also kickers' legs getting maybe tired, because there was even some teams that were really focusing on this. They were bringing it out from like 1-2 deep. If it was going 4-5 deep, I think it was a guaranteed touchback. But some teams were bringing it out from 2 deep. Some kickers weren't able to get it any deeper than that later in the season because their legs were tired. And then weather obviously has a massive implication. A couple snow globe games, ball's not going into the end zone. Guys are being forced to return it. Strategy was on display. I think if you're Riz and the special teams coordinators that came together and put this together, you're celebrating massive success in keeping the kickoff an actual play for the sport.
Yeah, I agree. It was awesome this year, and hopefully they make that one little change that we talked about at the beginning of the year. That would make a huge difference on if they bring it out or not. But Nico Remigio, Chiefs punt return or kick return, he brought one out from like 8 deep this weekend. So
and that's Tobe, who prides himself on having a great special teams unit, as does Philadelphia. Any teams that have depth and are good are normally be good at special teams. Coach Riz obviously becomes the interim head coach of the Saints. Going into the year, the only thing anybody knew him for is being the guy who kind of pieced together this new dynamic kickoff, taking some stuff from the XFL, adding some stuff from special teams practices, which is where this all began, so you can save guys' legs. And then inevitably, we get something that adds more exciting plays. Congrats to everybody. Not an easy decision to do something like that, especially with how stupid it looked at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and it wasn't a kickoff, but, I mean, if you even just think about the last time the Eagles and the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl, that Kadarius Toney punt return, it kind of swung the entire game. That kind of got the Chiefs back into the football game.
AJ, we thought it had no chance. We thought the kickoff was going to be over. We thought it was going to be a 4th and 25 or whatever on the other 25 to kind of start drives. Now it feels like the kickoff's at least going to stay for a while. I remember beginning of the year, to your point, we weren't seeing many kickoffs return and everything just looked stupid. And we thought, wow, they're going to have to do something drastically different or they're going to get rid of it. Instead, now we're looking back at the stats. We're saving football, baby. We're saving kickoffs. I love it. Congrats to all parties.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I love it. I don't love it visually. I still think it's kind of awkward and weird. But I do love the fact that the kickoff feels like it's here to stay. I felt like going into this season, they're like, well, I don't know. Kickoff feels like it's on its last leg, like they're ready to get rid of this thing. And so they were just waiting. It felt like they were waiting for reasons to almost get rid of it. So now I think this does a lot. It does to quiet the noise, too, about player health and all that stuff. It gives another check mark in their box, of the league, like, hey, we're taking care of these guys.
33-yard extra point looks stupid for a long time.
Yeah.
Now it just kind of looks normal.
You're right. You get used to it. Yeah. You do get used. It is surprising how fast you can get used to something.
Yeah, humans are, by nature, for instance, with music, you hear a song one time, it's like, nah. And then whenever they force that song down your throat 50, 60 times, it's like, kind of a bop.
Sounds awesome.
Kind of a bop. And I think, a couple seasons into this, people will be a little bit more used to the awkwardness of the setup. I think players will get used to it. I think coaches will get more used to it. I think there'll be more strategy that'll come about it. And if it continues to go the way it's going with these numbers, I think the NFL is going to be excited to have the electricity of returns remain in the game.
Now they just got to change it so that you don't have to declare if there's an onside kick before you kick it.
I don't know how you do that. How do you do that?
Just don't make them do it.
Yeah, but you got the rest of the team 30 yards away.
Yeah, that is.
I think the kicker sprints down with the ball to where everyone else is lined up.
Sprints down, sets it up, and goes, ah!
Onside!
Onside.
Yeah, I guess you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, legitimately, I don't know how you wouldn't.
Land it inside.
Is college going to keep it? Is college keeping the real kickoff? Because you go to watch college, they do the old school.
Yeah, but they do fair catching.
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
Which
I would imagine dudes are still knocking themselves out in college kickoffs.
I don't love the fair catch on kickoffs.
No.
I don't love that at all. I don't. They need to get rid of that. They need to, just for the good of sport.
Sure.
People can't be watching that, and especially for the good of the players that are out there. You know, like, you got some really good players. There's guys 30 yards away, and they're giving themselves up. It's like, you look soft. You look like you're not an actual football player. That's an embarrassment. If your special teams coach can't draw up something where you catch a kickoff at the 10-yard line and you can't get to the 25 or the 30, maybe you need to fire your special teams coordinator. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing board as opposed to the fair. I don't like it at all. I think it is an embarrassment for football, the fair catch on kickoffs.
Definitely, and it does suck, but because they still have the element of surprise onside kicks, would you keep the fair catch so that they can keep surprise onside kicks?
Yes. I mean, I guess we would do that. But also, surprise onside kicks started dwindling away, too, at the end of this whole thing. Successive onside kicks started dwindling away. There's actually more successful onside kicks this year than I think any of us could have expected.
Yeah.
Remember, there was a couple times when those got to happen, and I think it's because kickers started working on it, but also maybe because they're not working on it defensively as much. You know, you're not having as many hands team reps. You're not doing as much because your kickoff team is all the way down there. It's a very small chance you're going to have to take on an onside kick, so then you don't really rep it or practice it as much. But, yeah, it's impossible to not have to declare because where everybody's standing.
Well, and in college, too, with like some of these really good teams who are super deep, you would think like, hey, that's really the only way some of these like 4 or 5 star, you know, underclassmen are getting on the field at all. So like, is that the only way you want to see what you got from them? Is just like, hey, go stand out there. We're going to fair catch it. So I just want to make sure you're going through the motion. Like, you know, some of the, like Ohio State, like.
They had a Buka out there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they got
He's a
guys,
great player.
Yeah.
You got him acting like he's scared to return a catch.
Right.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Makes no sense.